We sit here in Normandy. Your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Joe Biden has done the thing that we all knew he was going to do, which is to pardon his son, Hunter. This, of course, is after repeatedly promising over and over and over again that he would not do it. Well, turns out once again, we were right to question it. Let's get into it. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. I appreciate you being here, whether this is the first time you have clicked on one of my videos or you are a returning supporter. Please hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and also make sure your notifications are turned on so that you never miss out on a conversation like the one we're about to have. I'm sure you've heard by now that the biggest news over the last couple of days is Joe Biden pardoning his son Hunter. Now, again, this was after months and months and months and months of promising that this exact thing would not happen. This was a particularly favorite talking point of the media, not just because they wanted to paint Joe Biden as this major respecter of the law and someone who believed in justice and accountability, but they could also use it to draw this stark contrast between himself and Donald Trump. Trump, of course, who they wanted us to believe was someone who was constantly avoiding accountability and thought he was above the law.
Major commitment from the president, accepting the outcome of the trial and also pledging not to pardon his son.
So the challenge for him is really to continue to live up to his values when it was really personal, and he did that today.
It seems like a pretty normal, straightforward answer, but it takes new weight when we see what Trump is saying about the outcome of his trial, what we're hearing from other Republicans who say they don't accept the jury's verdict here in New York.
The contrast is profound. To sit there and say, well, I'm not going to intervene in the legal process and I wouldn't pardon my son. One side, Democrats and Joe Biden protecting the justice system. And on the other, Republicans and Trump protecting Trump.
Yes, Joe Biden is definitely living up to his values. But what I find interesting about this clip is that they specifically said that by accepting the outcome of the trial against his son means that Joe Biden is protecting justice. He respects the rule of law, and they believe that having his son face consequences means they are acknowledging that there were crimes committed by Hunter Biden. They're not denying that this man is a criminal and that there are consequences associated with the crimes he committed that have been appropriately assigned to him for the things that he did. No one said that the judge or the trial were unfair. Nobody said that the case against him was politically motivated. Nobody denied that this trial needed to happen. They all accepted it, and they all believed that Biden was doing the right thing by standing back and letting his son face the music. However, if you are somebody who took their word for it, no matter how many times they promised that Biden would not excuse his son's crimes, then let me tell you, you are off the charts on the special scale. We know that the media has lost all credibility and their ratings are plummeting because of that. But for some reason, they still have a handful of viewers, which are the people who believe them when Joe said that he wouldn't pardon Hunter, who are still buying what they're selling. And these are the people that they can literally say anything to and they'll eat it all up. And then they'll call themselves informed and thus continue to make fools of themselves in their small circle of friends and family who can still stand them, because I think they feel bad about letting somebody who is so gullible and so easy to manipulate try to live life on their own. And they kind of feel obligated to be there in case like a scammer from a small town in Africa calls them and demands $20,000, because they know that these are the type of people that will believe them and hand over that $20K, no questions asked. Anyway, it came as no surprise to literally anybody when Joe announced that he was going to pardon Hunter, because Joe Biden is a liar. This man has done nothing but lie his entire career. And the only time he apologizes is when he gets caught. And the only thing he apologizes for is that it made him look bad. He's been caught plagiarizing numerous times. He's been caught wildly embellishing stories in his life, or lying about his academic record, or lying about his son's death. He has switched all of his political positions based on whatever is popular and what will get him votes. He lied about not knowing about his son's business dealings. He threatened Ukraine with $1 billion if they didn't fire the guy who was investigating his son's crimes. So when he said he would not pardon Hunter, nobody believed him, except for the few people that I just mentioned that still listen to the mainstream media. So the unsurprising story broke just a couple days ago that Biden was going to do this. And the interesting thing is was that he didn't just base it on like one or two crimes or the thing that he specifically went to court for. This was based on a very specific time period of 11 years and any crimes that are already known or crimes that may come to light but have not yet. This to me not only debunks the idea that what was brought in court is the only thing that Hunter Biden is actually guilty of. We know that that's not true, but that, as Joe assured us, that Hunter has never talked to him about his business dealings, because if he hadn't had those conversations, then why would you specifically pardon this length of time and excuse not just the stuff that we know about, but stuff that you must know about that we don't, that you feel needs to be excused before we find out? It's a very specific time period. And by the way, with everything we do know about Joe Biden and his family, can you imagine what we don't know yet? It's wild. After all of this, the media now has to try and make themselves look less stupid than Biden just made them look, which makes you wonder if this was just one more middle finger to them on his way out the door. I mean, getting back to the media for abandoning him and finally admitting that he's too senile to run for president would not have been the leading reason to do this, but it might be a side bonus for Joe as he gets ready to ride off into the sunset and live his life eating ice cream and sniffing children. But now, of course, the media is on the fence about admitting that they were lied to and that they helped perpetuate this lie, or just making excuses for saying the things that they've said. And not only that, not letting us believe for 1 second that Joe would ever go back on his word and calling us hateful conspiracy theorists who took pleasure in attacking this poor old man. It seems that they are in large part in excuse and justification mode, and apparently the approach, like always, is to redefine words. And the word of the day that they're redefining is the word lie.
Because honestly, what the other side has been saying for years, what you guys ran on for president was multiple lies. I mean, if Eric Holder said it right, I think he said if Hunter's name was Joe Smith, this case would probably have never even gone to trial, right? That it was always a political witch hunt, and it was always.
But wasn't, to Scott's point, I mean, wasn't it a lie? I mean, you can defend it, but wasn't it a lie that he was not going to pardon him?
No, I believe the circumstances have changed. I think that we now have a president coming into office who's talking about firing squads, who's talking about running people around the country and making sure that everyone who's his enemy is going to be punished. And Hunter Biden lied about his drug use on a government form when he was buying a gun. And he failed to file and pay taxes when he was a drug addict. He paid back those taxes with interest. Donald Trump himself was indicted for 17 counts of criminal tax fraud, more than Hunter, and he's going to be the president of the United States.
11 years.
So
you're missing a few things.
The response to this lie is just to continue lying and pretending that the circumstances have changed, even though the only thing that has changed since the previous talking points that they were pushing is that Trump won the election. Everything they were basing on the narrative before still exists today. According to them, saying one thing and doing another is not a lie. But nobody's surprised by that thought process, because on the left, anything and everything goes, especially if they can justify it under the guise of protecting us from Trump. If they need to lie, fine. If they need to completely switch on a political issue, fine. If they need to censor speech, it's fine. If they want to get away with anything, all they have to say is that they're protecting us from the big bad orange man, and they get their pass. This is another clip from CNN reacting to their own past takes on Hunter Biden's crimes. But even the CNN anchor has to fact check their guess as they tried to justify what they said back then.
July of 2023, just after that plea deal fell through, this is what you said. I want to watch.
Do you think a pardon for his son would be a mistake?
Yes, and I don't think there's any chance that President Biden is going to do that, unlike his predecessor, who pardoned all of his friends and anyone who had any access to him. And I think you see that in this case, where he kept on, and Merrick Garland kept on, a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney to investigate the president's son. If there is not an indication of the independence of the Department of Justice beyond that, I don't know what we could look for.
What does that feel like, watching yourself back then, reassuring people that Biden was not going to issue a pardon for his son?
Yeah, and I think that if that plea agreement and that plea deal had gone through, there would be no pardon. That was a satisfactory outcome.
It had already fallen through.
That only was. Sorry?
When you reacted, this was when the deal had fallen through. And I hear what you're saying.
And again, nothing changed. Hunter did not uncommit these crimes. The verdict was not reversed. Everything is still in place that existed 6 months ago, except that Donald Trump is in office. I don't think that these people thought that he was actually going to win, and they thought that they were actually going to be able to get away with this. But now, not so much. And after all this, you would think that liberal voters, the ones who have stood back in utter astonishment and berated Republicans for even being able to think about voting for somebody who lies, that they would be the first to be outraged and would demand answers from their own party leader about how they could betray their trust like this and behave in a way that they are adamantly against. But nope, not at all.
Really upset that Biden pardoned his son? Or is it just something to be mad about?
Let's just be clear. You guys don't actually care about lies. You just go along with what you're told, and you are there to support whatever the media tells you today. That must be a really interesting way to live, never having to think for yourself or commit yourself to any sort of moral standard or belief system, except for the belief system that consistently says hate Trump and Republicans are bad. Whatever talking points push that ideology, then anything, any behavior, and any level of corruption is acceptable. I know that a bunch of liberals are probably going to say, but Trump, because that's how you guys respond to literally everything. Let me just remind you, the people that spent months lying about what Joe Biden wouldn't do are the same ones that have lied to you repeatedly about Trump. I would love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments below. Please hit the thumbs up button. It is so helpful to me. Please make sure that you are subscribed. Help me get to that 10,000 subscriber mark. I am so close and I am just so ready to get there. Also, if you would like to support my channel in other ways, there are ways to do so in the description box. And also the Buy Me a Coffee link is a $5 donation that helps me to create more content and bring it to you more quickly. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for watching. Keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one.